Stephanie. I just really wanted to say that I enjoyed your post, and I thought it was really interesting that you picked the Bible verse about a sound mind. And I think that's important to remember, that while there is a lot of, chemical activity that affects depression or anxiety in the brain and that can cause it, I think there's also a lot of our own focus on our issues and our troubles that cause deep anxiety and deep depression that's not related to anything brain related. And so it's important to look at that in terms of the biblical aspect of having a sound mind and having a focus on, God the Father and what Jesus can do for us and all of the blessings that he has given us, to have that ability to quiet our minds so we don't fall into that depression or we don't give into that anxiety, because that's how the devil's going to tempt us in this time is through our mind and through those battles. And he's going to get us with, nobody loves me or nobody wants me or why am I so stupid? And that's where that verse that you picked is so important, and having a sound mind. One of my all-time favorite verses is Romans 12:2, and it's, do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good and pleasing and perfect will. And I think that's important, that when you want to overcome some of those issues and that trauma that you've faced, or that depression that you're feeling, and all that overwhelming crushing that comes from the world, to remember that by the renewing of your mind, you can be made whole. And that's important to remember that, the science to depression is there, but the religious aspect of it gives you a whole new opportunity to look at. It gives a whole new world to overcome. God is bigger than science. He created it, but he's bigger than it. He can heal it. So there's another article that I read on the effects of psychological trauma into the brain, and it's about military and how PTSD and psychological trauma affects the chemicals of the brain, and how seeing all of that and experiencing that can cause the neural pathways of your brain to not function, or it can change parts of it, the way that certain parts of your brain interact with other parts of the brain. And that's all very true and very real science that God has created, that the devil has exploited. And so when you take those verses to that research, there's hope for that. There's hope for people that are battling PTSD. There's hope for people that are battling, that psychological trauma, through that verse that you chose, and through Romans 12:2. So good job. I was really impressed.